Eagle 95.1, WUPN, Paradise, Sault Ste. Marie.
It's time for The Game. Eagle 95.1 proudly brings you The Game, the Twin Sault's only regional and national sports show. For the next hour, we'll get an in-depth look at sports in the Eastern Upper Peninsula and Algoma region. The Game on Eagle 95.1.
Mr. Electric Avenue segment brought to you by Sportscenter Bar and Grill. Sportscenter Bar and Grill, located on 624 Wellington Street, West Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. You can't miss Sportscenter's famous Monday, Wednesday, 60-cent wing nights. Sportscenter Bar and Grill, great atmosphere, great food, great cold beverages available, and great service. The home to the Mr. Electric Avenue segment. Sportscenter Bar and Grill, the Sault's best sports bar.
Greetings and salutations and welcome to The Game Sports Show. Yours truly, David McCaig, and it's January the 24th edition here live from Sportscenter Bar and Grill. And yep, it's the Wednesday edition here live at Sportscenter Bar and Grill, the Sault's best sports bar. And congratulations to Sportscenter Bar and Grill to be rated the Sault's best sports bar for the second year in a row. And just a quick note with SportsCenter, they have their famous Monday, Wednesdays, famous 75-cent each wing nights. That's from 4 p.m. until 12 a.m. A little bit of change from the 60-cent wing nights. They have now gone up to 75 cents each on wing nights from Mondays and Wednesdays. So it's definitely a great sports bar to come on down and check out for sure. Great environment, great food, and they got nice cold Molson products on tap as well that you definitely want to enjoy. And as I said, it's yours truly, David McCaig, alongside one of my usual contributors, one of the co-hosts of the In the Pocket segment and one of the analysts on the Game Sports Show. And it's been the first time in 2018 you've been on the show. It's been a bit. Jamie Antonello, how you doing?
I'm good, Dave. Glad to be back. It's been a few weeks, but get back in the swing of it just in time for the Super Bowl.
Everybody gets vacation time. Everybody gets vacation time, and I think you used yours up though. I think you used your 4 weeks.
I think I'm stuck now till 2019, but I'll survive.
Yeah, and Jamie, it's we've had a productive year in 2018, and to start off the show, as usual, the introductions, I got to thank all the sponsors with the Game Sports Show. And you know what? We have a lot of sponsors on the show, and Sportscenter Bar and Grill, it was the original home to the Mr. Electric Avenue segment. Now we just go with the Game Sports Show, and it's still a home. And we also have an additional home, the Wicked Sister on Mondays, which everyone knows, but also another home, a third home, Boston Pizza in Sault Ste. Marie, the Canadian franchise jumping on board, where we record live on location on Boston Pizza on Thursdays. So Boston Pizza be another sponsor of the show. We have, as I mentioned, the Wicked Sister. We have Pingator Cleaners in Sault, Michigan to round out the Sault, Michigan between the Wicked Sister and Pingator there. We also have Discover the Canvas in Sault, Ontario, Superior Pro Shop, North Shore Sports and Auto, and the Salon being part of the show. And wow, we got a pretty rounded up little sponsorships there, and having 3 homes. That's a lot of places to sleep after a couple late nights out, don't you think?
Yeah, you might need that.
I think so. And you know what? As everybody knows, we're in 2018 and we're in full flight here. Everyone knows on Mondays we record live at 6 p.m. until 7 on 95.1. And then 7 to 8 is pre-recorded. And then Wednesdays we're here live at Sportscenter Bar and Grill, where we talk, football, where we talk basketball. We're going to talk sometimes a little hockey, a little baseball, whatnot, but majority of the show is going to be football. It's going to be basketball. It's going to be WWE. It's going to be golf. It's going to be local sports. It's going to be a little fun little show. And everyone knows on Mondays when we talk about local professional sports as well. But Thursdays is the show where we talk about hockey and baseball at Boston Pizza, where we record live at 9:30 as well on Thursday. So we're going to be there tomorrow night talking hockey, and we have a couple guests lined up in the future, and looking forward to that. But here on Wednesday, tonight, we're just going to talk about 2 sports. myself and you, Jamie, are going to talk about football in the pocket segment. Then it's going to be just me, myself, and I talking a little bit of basketball news, especially towards the Toronto Raptors, who have been predicted that they're going to win the Eastern Conference this year, and I'm going to get to that later on. It's pretty exciting stuff to be a Toronto fan in general. But all that aside, we are starting off the show with the bang and the famous in the pocket segment. And Jamie, let's get this started. I'm going to let you get this rolling here. You got some good little pieces of news that I want you to share to the listeners. And after you share a little bit of this piece of news and we go back and forth a little bit, we're going to have a break. And then we're going to talk about last week's game, and we got lots to talk about. So, Jamie, the floor is yours.
Thank you, sir. Well, I'll start with, seeing as it's been a few weeks, but there's been a couple coaching changes, and those are the big ones I want to focus on right now. John Gruden to Oakland. Let's start with a bang.
Oh, that is a bang, and I can just picture Dustin Grondin's little KY banana split talk there. I love the hiring.
That's a Spider 2Y banana there, Dave.
Oh, that is it. So you can tell I'm not a football coach.
No, that's 10-year, $100 million. Crazy. Back to Oakland. But realistically, that was the only thing that was going to draw him out of the booth, I think, was that amount of money. And it's a great fit. Derek Carr, young offense, kind of just they need that guy in the room, right? Not that Jack Del Rio did a bad job. He got them there. He did a very good job, to be honest. But I don't know if he was the right guy to control that cast of characters. With Marshawn Lynch, with Donald Penn on the O-line, there's a lot of guys, Khalil Mack on defense. I think Gruden's going to do an unreal job. I mean, I'm a little bit biased as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan myself, but so I'll forever love Coach Gruden, but he was great in the broadcast booth, but he always kept his finger on the pulse of the league, and I think Oakland was a great spot. We do need to talk about Mark Davis, the owner, and the fact that him and John Gruden are basically long-lost twins. If you ever look at a picture of them, which is hilarious, the exception being Mark Davis has a Friar Tuck haircut. Yeah. Has nothing to do with anything, but just a nice little tidbit. You got anything you want to add there about John?
You know what? With John Gruden, what he's bringing to the table in Oakland, like you said, he's going to help bring this team together, I think, of what Oakland's expecting. And we know that Oakland is not going to be the Oakland Raiders very soon. You know they're going to Las Vegas. We all know it's no secret any longer. And I know Vegas is loving their sports teams right now, especially in the area of hockey. And now they're going to probably get a very good football team. Not probably. They are going to get a very good football team that's going to be well coached. Gruden has the history. He has the stats. He has the knowledge, which is most important. But like you said, the thing I really want to attest to was that he's going to be the guy to be able to put them in the right direction. And not that, like you said, Jack Del Rio did a great job, but maybe bringing in Marshawn Lynch was a big change for that locker room. I'm not too sure because they didn't succeed this year as everyone thought they would. I'm a guy who picked Oakland to be a top-seeded team, and they weren't even close to that. So I think doing this kind of coaching change is a good drastic change for the room. I think it's going to really help Oakland.
Yeah, I think the way Oakland kind of realized it's very similar to what the Detroit Lions are every year. You get a crazy year like last year for the Lions. Matt Stafford sets the record with 9 fourth-quarter comebacks, and they make the playoffs. They have a good year. And that was the same thing with Oakland 2 years ago. Derek Carr had like 5 or 6 fourth-quarter overtime wins for them. And then this year, those same games, they lost. And you go 7-9 or 6-10 or whatever they went. That's all it was. That's all it came down to.
It was unexpected. Really, it was unexpected for Oakland to be where they were with that this year. And I know Derek Carr did go down. We can't forget that, but it wasn't like a season-ending injury like with Aaron Rodgers.
A couple weeks.
Yeah, it was nothing. I just couldn't believe it, and I think maybe the coaching change is what is needed. I know everyone, for example, points the finger to Steelers offensive coordinator Haley for not winning
a quarterback sneak,
not doing some things. So everyone kind of points to the coaches, but I think this is one of those changes that is going to put Oakland in the right direction. And you know Gruden firsthand. You saw him coach with Tampa Bay, and you saw him win a Super Bowl in 2000. I'm trying to think of the year. 2002. That's what I was trying to think of. And you know what? He's been removed from the game in the coaching end for a little bit, but he hasn't been removed from the game. He's been in the booth, like you said, so that won't affect it. So anyone who's doubting that he's going to go in there and be like that announcer who is a newbie, he's not a newbie. He's arguably still going to be one of the best coaches on that sideline this year.
Absolutely, and Oakland, they're going to expect a lot, but I think John's going to expect a lot of himself. And he'll get the 2-year grace period, but I'll tell you, as soon as they're in Vegas, expectations are going to be the same as, wow. I mean, the Golden Knights are reaching like crazy.
They're like,
unbelievable. First place overall, but
they're like reaching for Mars.
It's wild.
Yes.
Bananas. But by the time the Las Vegas Raiders become official in 2020 there, it'll be, they're going to want to be primed for a championship run.
The field, what's the field? Is it T-Mobile? Is that are they created? I think there's still some vague with the field, correct? I think.
I'm not 100% positive on any of that. I'll have to look that one up, but
that's more of a rumor kind of thing with the field. But they're Vegas sports, thumbs up, and you're getting Gruden going into Oakland, thumbs up.
Oh yeah, they're doing great. So a couple other things have changed. Unless you want to stay on John here.
Absolutely, moving on.
A couple the next big ones really aren't confirmed yet, but they're pretty much locks. Is Josh McDaniels, the offensive coordinator for the Patriots, pretty much a lock to take over the Colts job, and defense coordinator for the Pats, Matt Patricia, to take over the Lions. And it was going to happen. Yep. Those two guys have been coaching at such a high level under Bill. He's groomed them. McDaniels left for a little while, coached the Broncos for a couple years. They ended up beating the Pats in the regular season matchup. Then he realized this is a lot harder on my own, came back to mama. Yeah. Belichick brought him back, resurrected him back to health, and they've been fantastic ever since. But you knew it was going to happen, and I think both of those are unreal fits. First of all,
especially Patricia and the Lions.
I want to talk about that one first.
Yeah, I love that fit.
You know what you're going to get out of Matt Stafford and the offense. I'm curious to see if they're going to retain Jim Bob Cooter as the offensive coordinator, because I thought he did a pretty good job. And Matt Patricia's going to have his finger all over that defense, regardless of who gets pulled in as defensive coordinator. He's going to be the guy probably calling plays, a lot like what Mike Zimmer does in Minnesota. He still makes all the defensive calls, but it's going to be a great fit. I think they got to get good defense in that division. And do I think that vaults the Lions into first? No, because Minnesota's really hot.
Yes.
And as long as Aaron Rodgers has a pulse, Green Bay's in the hunt every year. And they're going to be king of that division no matter what.
Yep, and they are. And the big thing with Patricia is that, looking at statistics here in front of us, 3-time Super Bowl champion. He's won the big games with, obviously, who he's been with. But at the end of the day, you could not be groomed by anybody better. And what really surprises me is how Belichick was the coach of the Browns before. Now he's with the Patriots, and he's just an absolute success. And where obviously, I think every coach actually failed with the Browns. So, but he came in.
To be fair on your point, though, that was the Browns when they were the Ravens, technically, right before they relocated. So,
and they made the playoffs. So the big thing is, the Super Bowl wins is what really sticks out to me for Patricia, for Lions fans. Lion fans that are really, really, really starving. Oh my, yes, they want something. I don't even know if they expect it. I think they want to be close to it or be competitive. And at the end of the day, having Patricia there, good fit. I like that fit more even than McDaniels going to the Colts. Patricia's going to get that chance to himself to be able to lead a team based on what he's learned. He's been with Bill Belichick for quite some time now, and he just looks like a Lions type coach. Oh, yeah. The way it's just a perfect fit all around. He'll fit in perfectly there for sure.
Yeah, he looks like he fits right in Michigan. Yeah.
And he's young.
He's young. He's very young.
Yeah, 43 years old.
Yeah, he's. Josh McDaniels, I think, is a good fit with the Colts as well. And there's a lot of. Nobody really knows what's going on with Andrew Luck. Let's be real. It's one of those injuries, and I'll tell you right now, with Josh McDaniels going there, a guy from Bill Belichick's school of thought, you are never going to have any idea if Andrew Luck is actually injured or not. Tom Brady's been on the injury report his entire career. Nobody ever has any idea, but he always plays. Yep. So hopefully Andrew Luck comes back. But you got to think about it. If they retain Jacoby Brissett, he was in New England. Yep. He was Josh McDaniels was his only offensive coordinator before getting traded. And the year that Tom had to sit out and Jacoby had to step in after Jimmy Garoppolo goes down, they put together a ridiculous game plan and beat a really good Houston Texans team a couple years ago. that had everybody playing, which is unusual for Houston because usually at least 2 of their defensive studs are out with season enders, but J.J. Watt this year. But I think McDaniels is a really good fit. I think he's learned a lot from going away and coaching for 2 years in Denver. So I think the Colts are going to get back on track a lot quicker than the Lions are. Not that Patricia's not a good coach, but he hasn't been away on his own. He hasn't been running his own show, whereas McDaniels has that experience to draw off. But you got any other thoughts you want to add there about McDaniels?
I'm a big statistic guy when it comes to coaching and certain stuff. 5-time Super Bowl champion. Yeah, he's not the head coach. That's 5 times he's won that big game. And to be a coach in those big games, that means you're settled. You know what to do. Yeah, okay, he wasn't a head coach making those calls, but I'm sure Bill Belichick, being the guy that he is, allows Patricia McDaniels to really, he takes their opinions. That's what I get from Bill Belichick, and he lets Brady. It's a big team unity there. So being a 5-time champion, he's already coached on his own. Definitely the Colts get the edge with McDaniels over Patricia in that aspect. But definitely being under the circumstance of Bill Belichick. Heck, I think if I went to go learn under Bill Belichick, I could probably coach the NFL in 10 years. The guy's just an absolute stud. He's just an absolute great coach. Another big thing that stands out for me with him is age again. I look at coaches in the NFL. I think of Conlon from the Giants, who's 60+ years old. You know, I think of Shanahan with the Redskins, older. Bill Belichick's also older, but he's been around and proved himself. Okay, but McDaniels, 41 years old, he can potentially be with this team for years, and that's where I think the success with Belichick and Brady came. That they grew together. Maybe McDaniels and Luck, who needs that luck to have a coach, pun intended, to grow with somebody. Stafford doesn't need, he just needs, first off, a running game is what he needs. But I think Patricia and him can have that unity as well to click. That's what I think a good quarterback, because then that makes them elevate their game, and when the coach gives them confidence, they have that chemistry. Not saying Stafford didn't have that with his old coach, or Luck didn't have that with Chuck Pagano. I butchered the last name, but you can have it with these certain guys that have been with these coaches that relate to players well, and Bill Belichick's one of the best guys, if not the best guys, to relate to his players. Obviously, with the media, he's never been a awesome, great guy with full of smiles. But
only bolsters his relationship with the players, though, because he protects everybody. You don't have to worry about anything. The only guy who has to go talk at the mic at length is Tom Brady, who has 19 years of experience, and he's been coached by Bill Belichick on how to do that. So it makes things in New England, it makes them extremely difficult because he puts so much pressure on them, but all they have to do is focus on the field. We've seen it in the past. Deflategate, Spygate, all these things, outside distractions, haven't mattered.
Yeah, you know what? Very good point. It's never phased the. You know what I love? I'll never forget about Tom. I think when Tom Brady did that commercial for Madden this year, I think that's maybe when Bill Belichick kind of went like, yeah, maybe he said, okay, that's not the script we write, but the GOAT. There's never been a Madden cover ever to win the Super Bowl either. You know, like, he is the GOAT. Like, it's unreal the way the chemistry is. So trusting these two coaches are going to be obviously good fits for the Colts and Lions going forward. The next couple points we're going to bring up is points. Sorry, we've got Haley going to the Browns. Something we kind of discussed with Mr. Offensive Coordinator from the Pittsburgh Steelers, who was a part of that absolute cluster bleep of a game against the Jacksonville Jaguars that was disgusting defensively, and how a quarterback named Ben Roethlisberger, if you haven't heard of him, threw almost 500 yards and was it 5 touchdowns? 5 touchdowns. You lose the game. But Haley going to the Browns. The Browns trying to bring in the enemy a little bit, trying to really grow their team. What do you think of Haley going to the Steelers?
I mean, it was
to the Browns.
To the Browns. It was toxic in Pittsburgh. Him and Ben haven't liked each other for years. I think they've tolerated each other, and I think realistically, like, Ben hasn't made as much of a stink in the last couple of years as he could have, because he was surrounded by ridiculous amount of talent. Like, you look at their skill position guys, like, best running back, best wide receiver, easily. Like, if you put Gronk on that team, and it's like, you could offensive coordinator them to a Super Bowl. No offense, man, but like,
so it's okay.
But like, you do a better job than Todd Haley. Like, that was just a struggle, and they were always butting heads. And Mike Tomlin, I think he needed to do some kind of landmark fire. Unfortunately, it has to happen sometimes just to kind of clear the room, and he needed to pull the players back on his side. Like when your quarterback is at odds openly with your offensive coordinator, there's a problem, and the guys in the locker room are going to pick sides. It's never a good thing. So
there's a lot of, and you know what, the Antonio Brown situation and Martavis Bryant. I'm not saying that it was Haley's fault, but maybe he's a part of that offense kind of crumbling this year in terms. I know people think players' egos and everything. We're athletes. We've been there. We get emotional. But when coaches, when you do that as a player, when you think you're a superstar, yes, but you do it to their limits the way they did it this year with public tweets and doing stuff because they feel they can get away with it. Now, Tomlin's the head coach. That guy's the boss, and I still think he's the boss. I just look at him, I'd be scared to see him down. Just be scared of him. Yeah. But I think Haley was a part of being too loose and frayed with this offense, letting them do what they want. And then when he makes certain calls that he did, ugly.
Yeah, it's a tough line, right? Like you kind of go, it's like I'm your coach, not your friend. But I've seen I heard a good quote the other day was, I'll be your friend, I won't be your buddy. Because your buddy will just do whatever, he'll go along with the flow. Your friend will tell you the honest truth because he cares about you and he wants either for the betterment of you, the betterment of the team, betterment of everybody. So I prefer that quote. Stuck with me big time. But I think Todd Haley was trying to be a buddy, to be honest. And he does not have final say in that organization whatsoever. But it's part of it is just the trend now, right? Social media is so huge. Athletes either forget or they get caught up in the hype or they just don't care. And they're like, what's $20,000 fine for me to boost my popularity and have get a crazy endorsement deal? Like it's unfortunately the way it is. But any final thoughts there on Haley? Otherwise, I was just going to run through the list of a couple of hires here that we got quick.
No, all you, James. I just got to say is, I say it from very professionally speaking, I'm excited for a new offensive coordinator in Pittsburgh.
As you should be. I'm very curious to see who they bring in, but a couple of all right, just going to run down the list here. Pat Shurmur, who I'm sure we'll find out in the next couple of days whether or not he's expected to take over the Giants job. He was the offensive coordinator in Minnesota. Now, he's probably not feeling the greatest after the Eagles just shellacked him, but we'll see in the upcoming days how that goes. The Packers made a couple changes, right? They fired Dom Capers as a defensive coordinator after 9 years. Got rid of their GM, finally. Nobody likes Thompson because he does nothing. He's going to draft his guys, and that's about it. Jason Garrett staying in Dallas. A lot of guys are staying that were Dirk Cutter staying in Tampa. Hugh Jackson in Cleveland, which I think is the right move, to be honest, because we would have heard a lot more out of that locker room from an 0-16 team if the coach didn't have control. But I think he had control. I think he has the locker room. I think they were just bad. He had a lot of injuries. Like, things happen.
They have somebody named Josh Gordon, who is a stud.
He's ridiculous.
That's their bright spot. And the first overall pick, Myles Garrett. That guy's a talent.
He was hurt quite a bit.
Yes, he was. So
that hurts you as a team. But Chicago, John Fox fired. Matt Nagy, which is an unfortunate last name pronunciation. I'm going to go with Nagy, I think. I'm just going to change it. I don't even care. Who was Kansas City Chiefs offensive coordinator. And he took over play calling the last half of the year for Kansas City, it actually got them into the playoffs, though, because Andy Reid was firing on all cylinders for 6 weeks, and then he was in the basement for 6 weeks, and they were 6-6, looking like they weren't going to make the playoffs. Matt Nagy took over then, won the last 4 games, and went to the playoffs. And obviously, Travis Kelce getting hurt in that game is tough, but I
thought that was going to happen to the Patriots too with Gronkowski. Well, maybe not.
You got TB12 over there, so that's a big difference. But I like Matt Nagy going to Chicago. Mitch Trubisky, young quarterback, that same thing. Young coach, he's a young guy too. He's only 38 years old, I believe. He's not quite 40. Him and McDaniels kind of got that same thing going on. Young quarterback, new guys starting with the new team. Bruce Arians retiring in Arizona. which was I think he was done. He was pretty much done 7 years ago when he left Pittsburgh, and really he only went to Indianapolis because Chuck Pagano asked him to, and they're best friends. But he had a good run with Arizona. We'll have to see how that goes. Mike Vrabel takes over in Tennessee, which I was shocked by this one, to be honest. Like no other move really shocked me a whole lot. Was seeing Mike Mularkey get fired after that comeback win over Kansas City. And I think part of it is because they got killed by the Patriots, but come on.
And we also heard off through the grapevine that he was actually getting extended. And then 24 hours later, it's like, okay. And Dane was attesting to it. I was talking about it last week. It was like a neutral or disagreement with where the team was going, is what I understood about him leaving the team. And that was for sure the biggest surprise.
Yeah, I was shocked. And I'm a big Mike Vrabel guy. Obviously, great player for the Pats. Has coached in Houston for probably, I think, the last 6 years, coached linebackers, and he was the defensive coordinator the last couple of years. He's done a fantastic job. And really, Houston has kind of become a little bit of a baby New England, right? With Bill O'Brien there, they're running the same kind of thing. So I think Tennessee, we're going to start to see that now. And Tennessee has all the pieces.
Marcus Mariota, former Duck.
Man, I love Marcus. I'm still bitter that I'm still bitter. But couple other things. So again, we'll stay on Houston. Bill O'Brien is kind of at odds with Rick Smith, their general manager. But for this year, at least, they're going to make it work. We're going to have to see how that goes. But I'm kind of curious. I'm going to have to keep that one in mind. Marvin Lewis gets a new contract with Cincinnati. He is the second longest tenured coach behind Bill Belichick right now, despite only having 3 playoff appearances and no playoff wins. Yes. It's not great, but Cincinnati's one of those franchises that they're playing the long game, and people are going to start to get fed up after a while, I think, but I'm pretty curious to see where we go from here. But that's kind of where we're at right now, coaching-wise. But as more things happen, we will let you know.
That is a lot of coaching, definitely no news. And we knew with this first segment, we knew that we were going to go within, and we were given 25 to 30 minutes on this first introduction portion due to all the changes. And you know what, we talked about the big ones with McDaniels and Patricia. I love that last name. I just don't know why. But Gruden as well was still the big news. I got myself Dave McCaig alongside Jamie Antonello, one of my many analysts, but one of the only co-hosts for In the Pocket segment. And we're missing a little somebody who is taking a leave of absence from the Game Sports Show for the rightful reason, Dustin Grondin. I know he's here in spirit, but just got myself and you. We're at Sportscenter Bar and Grill. We got Wednesday wing night, 75-cent wing night, which is also on Mondays as well. Jamie and I are going to take a quick little break. And when we take this break, we're going to down Molson product. You got your Coors Banquet. I got my Creedmoor Springs Premium Lager. Great stuff. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the games. Pun intended.
Championship weekend.
Big championship weekend between the Pats, Jags, Vikings, Eagles. Oh, what? Super Bowl matchup. Boo. Tom Brady had did you hear, before I go to break actually, did you hear that Tom Brady had an extra finger attached to his hand? He's getting ready for that 6th ring. We'll be right back from our sponsors here on the Game Sports Show. Don't go away.
The Mr. Electric Avenue segment would also like to thank its additional sponsors. North Shore Sports and Auto, located on 30 Calboogie Road in Echo Bay, Ontario. Ran and operated by Ryan Jordan Roquetta. North Shore Sports and Auto, meet all of your new and pre-owned equipment needs. Would also like to thank The Salon, located on 587 Second Line East, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Owned and operated by Mike Cuglietta. The Salon, making the soup beautiful, one haircut at a time. Would also like to thank the Superior Pro Shop, located in the Superior Arena on 285 Northern Avenue East, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Owned and operated by Jeremy Paquin and ran by Larry Monroe. For over 40 years, the Superior Pro Shop meeting all of your skate sharpening, skate repairs, and hockey needs.
And welcome back to the Game Sports Show. Yours truly, Dave McCaig, alongside Jamie Antonello. We've been here since the start. Sportscenter Bar and Grill here in Sault Ste. Marie. And with the Sports Center edition of the show on Wednesdays here at their famous 75-cent Wing Night Monday, Wednesday. That's going to take me a little bit time to get used to for the past few years saying 60 cents, but hey, that's still a good price for wings. With the Sports Center show, as I was saying, we like to take the chains off a little bit in terms of a nice free-for-all conversation with our famous In the Pocket segment. We know everybody out there loves our In the Pocket segment that was created by Dustin Grondin and actually enhanced by Jamie Antonello. There's a nice little term. And I got to give a shout-out to Dan Fanton as well, as he gave me the hint for the term as well. So I can't take full credit for calling it In the Pocket, but I am now. Moving on here with the show, though, Jamie, we talked before we went to break. We were talking about coaching changes, talking about more coaching changes and more coaching changes. And there was a lot of things that we talked about with that. But now we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of the show in terms of what the heck happened last week in certain games between the Jaguars and Patriots. What the heck happened between the Vikings and Eagles? And what the heck happened to the Vikings, though? But we're going to start off the hop with Jacksonville and the Patriots. We can't say the word hate on the show. I'm trying to really pull away from that. I really strongly dislike when teams repeatedly win and when people that literally define the American dream, even though he was born in America, as you said, Tom Brady, keep on winning. But this talent is so amazing. This ability is amazing. Tom Brady already has 5 Super Bowl rings, the most in NFL history, going for his 6th after a 24-20 comeback victory over the Jacksonville Jaguars, being down in the fourth quarter. I don't know what it is with Tom Brady being down in the fourth quarter in the playoffs. The Super Bowl last year and with the championship round this year, the Jags and Patriots game. Jags had the Patriots by the throat. The Jags had them by the throat with their fangs, and literally just fell apart. And after Gronkowski went out with the game, if for some reason, like I said on the game on Monday, I think it actually advantaged New England because it made Tom Brady go, I guess I can't just pass the ball to Gronkowski anymore. I gotta utilize my targets. Those targets being Amendola, Lewis, Cooks, yeah, somebody who I actually thought was going to be one of Brady's primary targets this year, even in comparison with Gronkowski after leaving New Orleans. And he used them, and he used Amendola pretty good in the in the fourth quarter there. So, Jamie, I'm going to give you the floor with analyzing the game into fine point. Me being a Fournette fan, as you know, not how the Jags beat my Steelers, but Fournette and the Jags, everyone was pulling for the Jags, but everyone knew Blake Bortles going against Tom Brady. Everyone was against the Jags, and I had a slight bit of belief that the Jags were going to do it, like a sip of beer bit of belief that they were going to do it. But then I had Anthony Greco text me and say, "Oh, the Patriots are done." And I said, "Are you kidding me? It is New England. They can be down 34-7 with a minute left in the fourth quarter and pull off the best comeback in history. Tom Brady will sell his soul like he did last year in the Super Bowl." Talk about this game, James. I'll let you jump on into it.
Oh, buddy. Yeah, well, it was labeled the boat versus the goat. A lot of people, and I'm one of them. I love Blake Bortles. I was on the bandwagon hard this year. The best of all time versus the greatest of all time. And if you listen to Blake Bortles, he's just a buddy. He's your bro. He's for the boys.
How about those videos? What would you do if you weren't playing football? I'd be playing construction, ripping sakes.
What's the first thing you do in the morning? Wake up, take a piss. It's hilarious.
Buy a Bortles jersey now, even though he's one of the worst starting quarterbacks in the league, if not the worst. Love it. I think that's funny.
He's hilarious. And he really made strides this postseason and elevating himself in the hierarchy of NFL quarterbacks. But, man, Jacksonville, Tom Coughlin did everything he could to manufacture a team to beat New England. And they're the gold standard right now. And Tom Coughlin seems to be one of the only guys who knows how to do it. He's beat them in 2 Super Bowls. He resurrected a Jags team this year. That they overperformed.
He didn't make the playoffs last year. This team was a lottery top 10 team.
And they went to becoming the 3rd seed in the AFC playoffs, upsetting beating Buffalo in a whatever game, 10-3, and then exploding for 45 points, which Calais Campbell predicted, which is wild because in the locker room post-game presser after the Buffalo game, they were asking him, how do you feel about like where this team's going? And he said, we're a team that can do anything. We can beat a team 10-3, or we can beat a team 45-42. And what was the score against Pittsburgh? I know this is going to sting you a little bit. 45-42. Wild. He's Nostradamus. If only he would have said something this week to help the Jags win. But what a game. And you touched on it. Gronk going out in the second half. Concussion. He's still in protocol. We're going to talk about that. But that, I think the bigger thing about that, not because Tom knows how to play without Gronk. The guy's he's built of like glue at this point. He's been injured so much, but he's so
his ass is what he had.
Yeah, he's so freaky, but he's just injured a lot, right? And it happens. You're injury prone. He's a big dude. He takes crazy hits, so things are gonna happen. He's used to playing without him. But Jacksonville's game plan was to take him away, and this happens a lot where New England will kind of test the waters and they'll hold a lot of things till after halftime, which is a good strategy because when you break something out in the third quarter, you don't have time to scramble and fix it. You break something out in the second quarter, you got 20 minutes at halftime to go and reevaluate your game plan. You can talk to guys. You have a break. Everybody can catch their breath. They're thinking way more clearly. But Jacksonville's D got a couple bad penalties at the end of the game. Had one inadvertent whistle that probably would have sealed the game on the fumble. Crazy trick play. They broke out. Danny Amendola throws it back across the field to Dion Lewis, goes 20 yards down the sideline. Miles Jack strips him, and he isn't touched. Inadvertent whistle. Miles Jack scores otherwise. Regardless, still. And then Jacksonville just couldn't pull it off. Blake Bortles, it proved the stage was a little big. It's in New England. If he would have won, I would have been concerned for how he would have fared in the Super Bowl, to be honest. Because look at what happened to Minnesota. We'll talk about this in a second, but crazy win over New Orleans. That eats up a lot of your energy, and then they get shellacked by Philly, right? So I think things are going to happen, but Tom's unreal. He's ridiculous. Danny Amendola killed them in the fourth quarter. Huge punt return. Sets up the game-winning touchdown, toe tap in the back of the end zone. Bananas. Just absolute bananas game.
You know, when Edelman made that catch, I remember sitting here at SportsCenter and actually looking at the screen and putting my head down and said, "Are you kidding me?" Tom Brady. I got respect for you, but God, let somebody else win, please. My Steelers would have been nice, but God.
This is the Super Bowl that nobody wanted to see, except for New England fans and Philly fans. Let's be real. Everybody wanted to see what Jacksonville could do. That miracle win over Pittsburgh, and then everybody wanted to see Minnesota at home. Everybody was hoping for Minnesota-Jacksonville, which would have been a weird Super Bowl, but we got Philly-New England rematch.
We got like Jacksonville, Minnesota, and the Eagles. God, Joe, big blank there. One of the three best defenses in the league. The remaining three defenses left in the league next to New England's subparts. Yep.
The last half of the season.
Absolutely. And these are if the Jags are to beat the Patriots, I think a team that's strong defensively, that's the team that could beat the Patriots. And just something happened in that, like Tom Brady sold his soul again. Like I said, I don't understand.
David versus Goliath, and Tom proved he doesn't go to church on Sundays. He sold his soul, and Goliath won.
He doesn't get anxious. He doesn't phase about.
Before they've seen everything on the planet between him and Bill, and half that team already. Even the guys that are 25 years old and they're 3 seasons or whatever with them, they've seen a million things. They've already won 2 Super Bowls. Those guys.
Been a part in Brady having 5, who's going for his 6th, and defeating Jacksonville. Not a convincing win though. Wasn't convincing, but it was nice, impressive on the comeback. But I don't know. It might be a little bit of a better match than we think when it comes to Super Bowl. Maybe. Moving on to who they're playing.
Here we go.
The Vikings, an Eagles game. The Vikings just dropped a turd and something happened. I don't know, something that they thought they were doing, playing football. They weren't playing football. They were playing Madden, me playing Madden on easy mode in the fourth quarter, being down 7-0 with 2 minutes left, put on easy mode and running down the field for seven. I guess it wouldn't be 7 touchdowns, but for 5 touchdowns. And the Eagles coming on top in Philly, of course, and we're going to get to how Philly reacted in just momentarily, but Philly coming on top in this game. Game could have went either way between how the teams are, but how the Eagles won is not how anybody predicted. I think that is a surprise how they shellacked Minnesota. Purely.
31-point win. Nobody would have predicted that.
Nobody would have, for sure. I think people were predicting the Pats to beat the Jags by that range.
Yeah.
That was the opposite side. But the Eagles getting a win. Nick Foles, guy holds a record, 7 touchdowns in a game. Got a whole bunch in this game. Alshon Jeffrey looked good. Everyone looked delicious in this game, and Philly fans should be excited.
Oh, yeah, it was. And Minnesota came out hot, too. They started the game well, and then Philly's pass rush came in. And really, that was the turning point in the game. And hilariously enough, it was 8 minutes into the football game. He got crazy pass rush from Chris Long, who is a bit of a journeyman now, but played with New England, won a Super Bowl last year. Part of that comeback. He was the first guy to wear the underdog mask. That has become a craze now in the Philly area, and they're loving that. We haven't seen a number 1 seed go into the playoffs as an underdog in a long time, solely because Carson Wentz had a season-ending injury. Rightfully so. The guy was having an MVP caliber year. Still could be considered, absolutely. And, yeah, pass rush amped up. Case Keenum threw a bad ball, got picked, and they turned it into points. That's what good teams do in the playoffs, is you make teams pay for turnovers. And that's what they did. They forced some fumbles, had some strip sacks, turned them into points. And Philly executed everything to perfection. Trick plays. They had Nick Foles stayed alive in the pocket with a minute left in the first half.
In the pocket.
Hey, shout out. He should have got sacked. He held on that ball for about 7 seconds, and he should have got sacked, no problem. Instead, it gives Alshon Jeffrey enough time. Looks like it's a Pop Warner game, the amount of time he has. Running all over the place, runs like a triple move, gets wide open, and that's the touchdown that put them up 24-7 right before halftime. Then Philly gets the ball back, run a flea flicker, hits Torrey Smith with a toe tap, beautiful touchdown, goes up 31-7, and any hope that Vikings fans had was completely snuffed out in that first 2 minutes of the second half.
It was, and indeed, the Eagles defeating the Vikings again 38-7. Now, was Nick Foles in this game? Did he prove to himself did he waste energy going into the Super Bowl? Did he show that he has what it takes? Or, when you think of Nick Foles has never been rated as a bad quarterback, but he's a quarterback who hasn't been in this situation, but is now him going forward in this particular. Did he waste his touchdowns, let's say, last game, or is he able to duplicate this going forward?
I think he is, mostly because a lot of people are going to say like they burned their trick plays or whatever. No, at the NFL level, you have so much time to prepare, and in Super Bowl, you have an extra week. They put in that flea flicker to Torrey Smith specifically because they thought they saw a flaw in Minnesota's defense, and it was probably a very specific thing. Between the 40s, second and medium, when they're in this defense, we'll audible to this play. That's how specific the NFL is at this point, and that's probably all it was. So Nick Foles had a very easy game, let's be real. They were up a lot. It's easier to take shots when you're getting run-heavy defenses. That was not a tough game for him. He made 3 or 4 spectacular plays. Don't get me wrong, he played extremely well, but he's not burnt out by any means. And I think Philly's defense, they played out of bounds. Super good. Had a great game plan, shut Minnesota out. But I think Foles is going to be fine. The Eagles are going to be fine. I don't think fatigue is going to be an issue going into the Super Bowl.
Absolutely not. And I agree with that for sure. And I love that when people say, "Oh, did he use up all of his touchdowns? Did he?" I don't think so either. I will say he has I think Minnesota has a better defense than New England does, slightly, but it's better not by a lot, but it is better. So to be able to expose Minnesota like he did, it's going to be different going against New England though. Bill Belichick is going to watch that game tape between Minnesota and Philadelphia and really observe all the tricks and really dissect. So I think Philadelphia has to really bring something new to the table and maybe even expose the New England Patriots on short passes. Like I was saying, Jacksonville, all they had to do was slants and run the ball, I think, to defeat New England. Not throw bombs. Blake Bortles throwing bombs against Tom Brady is just not gonna happen. Okay, it's like a Doberman fighting a poodle. It's just not gonna work out. Thinking forward though for the Eagles, I think doing a small football game is the way to beat the Patriots. I think they have the team to do it. I think Foles is way better than Bortles is. I say way better because I think he is way better. I know at the beginning of the season, me and Dust are sitting here saying how Colin Kaepernick should be the quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Okay, now Blake Bortles.
Other teams we were talking about that Colin could have very easily played for, but
absolutely. And now Blake Bortles made the championship round. So I don't know if we're eating our words or if we go, hey Fournette, good job.
He said it today. I'm on the Bortles bandwagon hard. I'm Team Blake.
Man, he's ripping the Sags though right now. Let's get real. Taking his morning pisses every day.
Construction at this point.
Absolutely. But no, jokes aside, the Eagles got to do a short pass game, and I think will a run game. They don't have a dominant run game, but they could with Ajayi. If he just comes out and says, "I'm going to be Ajayi," I pronounce his last name wrong all the time, but
pretty close.
Good enough. But if he comes up and says, "I'm going to be the guy from last year," give him the ball.
Yeah, I don't think. And if you look at everything traditionally, like Doug Peterson comes from Kansas City. He was the offensive coordinator under Andy Reid. And they're traditionally a West Coast team, which is short passing game. Use your running back and your fullback as the same guy. Have two backs on the field, all that. And true West Coast doesn't exist anymore in the NFL. But the short passing game still does. Using multiple running backs. Neither team has a bell cow at tailback. Philly's going to use Smallwood, Blunt, who we can't forget about, former Patriot, Jay Ajayi, and they're going to have a good mix of those guys, which is great for keeping those guys fresh, and it also means that none of those guys have really felt the wear and tear up to this point. Now, New England, funny enough, they're used to rotating guys like crazy. They're pretty banged up at the running back spot. Rex Burkhead's hurt. Gillespie's hurt. Like, they're banged up a little bit there. They have James White and Dion Lewis, basically, and both of those guys, they're pretty much playing 50-50. Dion Lewis has been producing as of late, though, so he did have the big fumble in the game, but irrelevant at this point, moving on to the Super Bowl. But I think Philly's going to be okay offensively. I think they got to stay the course, right? And you're going to have to hit some plays. We've seen it before. How do you beat New England in the Super Bowl? You make a crazy catch with 3 minutes left, and then you kick a field goal, and you win the game. Like, that's all you got to do. Doesn't matter who it is. Even Seattle, Jermaine Kearse had that crazy catch, and then all they had to do was hand it to Marshawn, and they win the Super Bowl, right? So, hopefully, if Philly ends up, I'm going to make a bold prediction right now. It's going to be a very similar situation. Down 4, Philly's going to have to make a play. Nick Foles is going to get him in position. Can LeGarrette Blount score with 2 chances from the 2-yard line to beat his former team and get another ring? That's my bold prediction right now. I'm not saying who's going to win. I'm saying that's the situation that's going to happen. I'm saying that's the situation you're going to be in. New England's going to be up with under 2 minutes. Philly's going to have a chance to win from the goal, a goal-to-go situation, whether or not they can do it. But can we talk about the Philly fans here for a little bit?
Absolutely. You know what? And we'll get to that. And I was going to say we're going to save our predictions for next week. That's on next week's show. I don't know if you gave yours away there. I don't know if that's. Maybe not. I'm going to save mine. People are going to be very surprised with mine. I don't know if that might be a spoiler. But at the end of the day, this Super Bowl is actually going to be watched as heavy as it always is, and people are going to be against Brady. This might be another David Goliath matchup, quarterback wise at least. But Nick Foles has the potential, and here's a guy before we jump to the fans of Philly that might win a Super Bowl, and not be a starter next year.
Very true.
Think of that for a second. Think of that. Or is he going to be for the Browns? Is he going to start for the Browns?
He'll have to relocate if he's going to be a starter because there's no way he comes back and Carson's going to be the starter. Unless Carson's like still rehabbing when the season starts, but he could go into that elite club of guys who were a backup that have won a Super Bowl amazingly. And there's not a lot of guys there. There's only a handful of them that have done it, and it puts you in lore forever. You're never forgotten.
No, and Nick Foles, we do wish you luck, for sure. And we're going to talk more about the Super Bowl. We're going to talk more about the Super Bowl next week. We kind of drifted into it from the Eagles-Vikings game. Just I'll give you a little taste. This is a little delicious taste. Like we had delicious taste of these wings and Molson products here. Got myself, Dave McCaig, alongside Jamie Antonello with the famous In the Pocket segment. Patented In the Pocket segment, may I add. But next, Eagles fans. I'm gonna let you jump right into this. I'm gonna like dip in there like a seagull when you throw crumbs on the ground and just throw my 2 cents because so many videos online. Philadelphia, relax. That's what I gotta say. Hashtag Philly relax is what I want to start.
We knew it was going downhill when on Wednesday of last week.
Yes, I know what's coming.
Well, I think we're thinking different things. The police in Philly started greasing the light poles downtown. They put like Crisco on these things, 8 feet up. Come on, that's a challenge to these people.
KY, by the way.
No.
Okay.
No, we're talking like cooking grease. And a couple guys showed up with a towel, had a few buddies, hoisted them up there, got up to the top, and it's not going to happen. But wild. We had fans running into poles and subways. Probably the best video, to be honest. Multiple angles. Multiple angles. The guy was fine. Yeah. Thankfully, the subways are designed so there's.
I thought he died from that first video. Maybe go under the train or fell in the cracks. With bigger dudes, maybe not fell in the cracks, but.
Thank God the subways are built so there's only about a centimeter between the actual platform and the subway itself at the time of it running. Otherwise, we'd be. There'd be a lot of fans attending that funeral, though. Let's be real. Somebody took a dune buggy up the steps where Rocky ran. A couple guys ran around downtown with no shirts on and Eagles masks on, having a great time. Philly fans going nuts. Some guy calling out on a selfie video as he left the stadium. He was gonna do some expletive things to poor Giselle there, and I'm sure Tom didn't love that one, but he was really into it. And you were going to say the boarding up.
The boarding up is the big one that I mostly read into. Love the bleeping of Tom Brady's wife. That is honey. Yes, honey. That's hilarious. I don't feel bad for you, Giselle. You're beautiful and rich, and you're married to Tom Brady. So, who's actually might be more pretty than you, as weird as that may sound. But people may disagree with that. Moving on, the boarded up. Police and officials of Philadelphia were warning businesses to board up your glass, man. Board up that crap. Go hit up the local Home Depot, the local Lowe's. Get that bleep locked up on your business. Get that bulletproof glass. Go get that guard dog that probably won't help you, but get something in there. And they rioted. Oh my God. And boarded up. And like with the businesses doing that, do you agree with it? Do you like it? Do you like it?
Well, I mean, it's Philly, so you knew it was going to happen. Win or lose, something's getting broken. It's like Montreal for us with hockey. You make the playoffs, either Vancouver does it too. You're 100%. But yeah, Philly's nuts, man. They had the NFL draft there this year. And I thought there was some poor guys who got drafted by the Giants. I thought somebody had a sniper rifle and was going to kill him. Like, it was insane. The fans were losing their mind. Every time Goodell went up, like, he probably had a bulletproof vest on. I'm not even lying.
He must have something on, especially Goodell. Oh, my God.
Bananas, man. Like, and it's Philly. You love them or you hate them. And I'm pretty sure every single Eagles fan in the history of the world loves them if they're good and hates them if they're bad. There's nobody that's ever going to stay the course in Philly, and it's what makes it so volatile, but it's why we love it so much. It's all over the internet, and it's the best.
I love going into last week with the fans, and I was watching Bleacher Report's Facebook page with Gridiron Heights, which I enjoy watching. It's hilarious. I like when they had Nick Foles practicing and missing. Then he had Rocky Statue going, "Oh, this was supposed to be our year, man." And then he goes in and throws 17s and the city legit riots and runs up a doom buggy goes up Rocky steps. Like, what? Like, Philadelphia fans, kudos. You love your team. You drank a little bit too many Molson products at the game, and people can't forget there's a setup in Philadelphia's football stadium that we kind of touched on. Yes. That we touched on earlier on in the podcast. There is a jail. Legitimately. A jail. Like, you get locked up there in the drunk tank, or if you murder somebody, or if you be beating the crap out of somebody you shouldn't be.
Through tables at the tailgate, like you're going in that tank.
Oh, literally people doing the rock bottom to people, or the tombstone pile driver off of trailers through tables. Like WWE Raw 25.
Stone Cold Stunners and RKOs all over the place. Like.
And the fans, though, kudos. But wow, keep it classy. Please don't shoot me for saying that, Philly fans. But if you lose, I'm going to prepare you right now. You're going against somebody named, we like to call him Sir Tom Brady on my show because he's not knighted yet, but he might get knighted.
If there's anybody in the NFL, it's him getting knighted.
I wonder if he's a key lock for the Hall of Fame.
I don't know. Should we debate this? Is this really a debate?
But literally, Philly fans, if you lose, please don't kill anybody. Go up a greasy pole if you want. That's fine. Put some KY on there. Or
Minnesota has done some preventative measures here, a little bit. Part of it is Super Bowl week in its entirety, but a whole pile of Minnesota fans. The Uber market in Minneapolis has exploded this week, with Minnesota Viking football fans applying to drive for Uber, with the reasoning of they're going to get Philly fares and they're going to take them to the wrong place and drop them off in the middle of nowhere and then just quit Ubering, which I think is the funniest thing in the history of ever. That's so good. Yo, like exactly. I'm going to move to Mini for a week and just
put a Viking jersey on and actually burn though when I put something on, because when they put silver on a vampire, that'd be me with the Viking jersey. But drop them off in the middle of nowhere. I love that idea.
It's so funny. And I think if you're a Philly fan, you're going to take an Uber, I would put your jersey on underneath and just pretend you're going to the festivities. Say you're a Patriot fan, even though it might hurt you, but at least you'll get there and you won't have to call a taxi and double your fares.
Even better, just take a taxi. Maybe, because if you get stuck in the middle of nowhere, you're going to be paying him more of a taxi. Or get this, walk. You know that thing that people used to do before there was Ubers? I know it was always taxis, but now if you don't get a hotel in the middle of downtown, I know it's going to be very tough. If you live or staying on the outskirts, then it's a little bit difficult. But definitely, if you drive, be safe. Obviously, please don't drink and drive. That's one thing I promote. But for sure, yeah, Uber, I don't know. I would kind of stay away from Uber this weekend, as much as I'm an Uber fan. I think Uber Eats, oh my God, how the Sioux doesn't have this. There'd be no such thing as yellow cab in Sault Ste. Marie, no offense. So, like, I'm telling you, just take the cab though when you go into the game. Get that individual that is making a living there, and take that cab and get to that stadium. That is one of the most beautiful stadiums in football, so you don't want to miss that game. And tickets are on sale for the Super Bowl, Jamie.
I'm sure they're reasonably priced at this point.
Yeah,
We're 9 days away? I'm sure it's reasonably priced.
How much do you think a Super Bowl ticket is? Top of your head before I say the price. One that was online. Give me a number.
Where are we talking in the stadium? That's we talk upper tier corner, which would be the cheapest seat in the house. Actually, yeah, corner would be the cheapest.
Let's go middle. Like, not first row middle, but like a decent average seat.
What yard line are we talking here?
We'll go on the 30-yard line on Philly's side, because that's where I saw the tickets.
30-yard line, Philly side, middle bowl, $9,000.
Not bad. but you were $6,900 plus taxes. You want to include that? You're up there. There's the cheapest tickets that I saw online, anyways. I don't know if it's gonna go up and down. I'm $3,200 for upper bowl. And there's somebody that I know that's going to the Super Bowl. Huh?
I don't know them very well.
No, it's just someone through work at my other job through HR, and I'm like, good for you.
They remortgage their house to did they have to pull out a second mortgage? I'm serious.
Like, literally, I and they're Minnesota Viking fans.
Oh, that hurts. Like, at the very least, at least you get to see the stadium, which is cool.
I would sell my ticket.
100%. Are you kidding? Like, wild.
I would be selling my ticket if I was a Viking fan or a Jag fan, if you want to go that far as well.
If they were smart, they would have sold it at about 11 p.m. after they lost, because there'd be some drunk, rich Philly dude who wants to go.
After going up a greasy pole.
He just got out of the dune buggy. He's got his underdog hat on, no tarp. He'd probably drop $12,000 immediately. You'd have cash in your pocket. You get to watch the game from the comfort of your own home. You can go see a game next year when they're playing Green Bay in the regular season.
You put that in your savings.
Yeah, and you could also stay there for 12 days with the extra money that you just got from that ticket.
Oh, we have fun always on the Game Sports Show. And it's been myself, Dave McCaig, alongside Jamie Antonello. And we're getting a bit more serious with the equipment. Yeah. The Twin Saults, the Algoma regions, and Northern Michigan's only regional and national sports show. I don't know what I sold to the devil, but people didn't know that. Now you do. And let me tell you, you should know that. We've been on the show for well over 3 years, but at the end of the day, shame on you for 3 years. Just kidding. To our new listeners, but we appreciate that. Jamie, myself, Dustin, Dane. Oh my God, I can't even. There's a lot of co-hosts on the show. The sponsors as well. Thank the listeners, because you are what makes it possible. I wish one of my prizes could be tickets to the Super Bowl. Imagine how many followers I'd have on top of that then. But we talked today with this in the pocket segment. You and I, we talked coaching, and we talked the previous games and going into the Super Bowl. Next week, myself and you, for sure. And hopefully Dustin and Dane and Justin, I had to space them two out because tongue twister, can join us as well for a big panel. We usually get the big panel leading up to the Super Bowl. But jumping into what I said, we're going to be here. We have new equipment ordered. Hopefully we have the new equipment here in terms of more soundboards, looking at full professional opposed to just using microphones.
Which is all for you as the listeners.
Yes, we ended up before we started recording on a phone. Now we talk through a microphone. We started talking through a microphone, which is great in itself. That's what a lot of sports shows actually use, is microphones plugged into adapters. But now we're getting soundboards connected through frequencies on the computer and microphones connected to my phone at the same time. Yeah, I need like education.
An extra degree to run all this, but you don't have to worry about it on your end. Just open your ears and you're good.
Yeah, you're listening to the pure sound. And you know what? You're listening to the great voice of Jamie, Dustin, the boys, and my mediocre voice. That's for sure. My mediocre voice. Jamie and I have been doing the In the Pocket segment, and Jamie and I are going to finish it on a bang, though. Thumbs up and thumbs down this week we usually do for our segment here in the Pocket. I'm going to start. I'm going to let you finish it, Jamie, before I conclude the In the Pocket segment before we go to our next break, and then I'm back talking a little bit of basketball. I'm not done here yet. Thumbs up. I'm going to go I hope I don't take your thunder. Nick Foles. My thumbs up is to Nick Foles. Battling that adversity. I like to give credit to Blake Bortles and all that. Notable recipient, sure, but no, he didn't come through at the end there, so I'm not giving him no thumbs up. Nick Foles, the guy who was, I think, an underdog going into this game. Absolutely. Especially against Case Keenum, who's done fantastic this year. Nick Foles, great job, man. You really seemed really relaxed out there. I got to give you credit in getting the Eagles to the Super Bowl. I got a soft spot for the Eagles a little bit, even though I'm a Pittsburgh fan. I've always been a Terrell Owens fan. So that is my little thumbs up. My thumbs down. the Jaguars blowing that lead against the Patriots, and Tom Brady going to the bleep and Super Bowl one more time. Why don't we just rename it the Brady Bowl? Like, I'm almost at that point.
8 out of 16. The last 16 Super Bowls, he's played in 8 of them.
That's ridiculous. That rounds up my thumbs up and thumbs down in the world of football. Jamie, you're up.
Well, I'm going to save my team-focused thumbs up, thumbs down for next week. Instead, I'm going to focus on the fans. That's what drives this sport. Nice. Drives our show. That's who listens to our show. And funny enough, my thumbs up and thumbs down go to the same human. He's a Philly boy, running after the subway, trying to celebrate. Oh, he was getting the crowd hyped. Everybody loved it. He's chasing him down, and then just a big old pillar got in his way. Truck stick, I believe, is the definition of what happened. And thankfully, we had a second angle. And thumbs up for a great video. Thumbs down for your response, which is great because somebody managed to get an interview out of him. And his quote was, I didn't hit a poll. That was it. The entire quote. What a beauty. Philly, I love you. I'm so excited.
That's great stuff there, Jamie, for sure. And you can get a hold of Jamie on Facebook at Jamie Antonello on Facebook. And pretty soon, and one thing that I want to save to mention, the Game Sports Show website. Wow, www.thegamesportshow.com. We're going to have an About Us page. What's that going to feature? A whole bunch of third-person discussions about ourselves. But moving on from that, we are going to be discussing next week. We're going to be having the Super Bowl. Going into Super Bowl, we're going to have the Pro Bowl next week as well. So we're going to be here live at Sportscenter Bar and Grill. We're going to be here at 9:30, the usual time, for another edition of In the Pocket. As In the Pocket this season starts to wind down, but I feel like we're just getting started. We got the big game coming up. We got lots to talk about still.
Biggest edition next week coming up.
Absolutely. You don't want to miss that, and hopefully we got the full cast for that. Jamie, I want to thank you for stopping by.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
As always, you're a usual contributor, and we appreciate that on the game. I know the listeners love hearing from you as well. So that's the In the Pocket segment here, January the 24th edition, live at Sportscenter Bar and Grill. Now, I'm going to allow Jamie to finish his Molson products and his food, and then afterwards, you're going to just hear my voice. And I apologize to listeners as much as you love hearing my voice for about 7 to 10 minutes talking about the Toronto Raptors and talking about NBA basketball, as the All-Star teams were picked, and Little Raptor making another appearance to the NBA All-Star game. And love how they're talking about the Raptors being first seed. I'm definitely getting into that before we conclude this show. And we kind of went 7 minutes over our targeted time for this segment, but that's totally fine. We have an hour and a half window for this chains off edition of the In the Pocket segment. So you don't want to miss what I have to talk about with basketball here on the Game Sports Show. Don't go away.
The Mr. Electric Avenue segment would also like to thank its additional sponsors. The Salon, located on 587 2nd Line East, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Owned and operated by Mike Guglietta. The Salon, making the suit beautiful, one haircut at a time. Also, special thanks to the Soup Huey Pro Shop, located in the Soup Huey Arena on 285 Northern Avenue East, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Soup Huey Pro Shop for over 40 years, meeting all your skate sharpening needs, repairs, and hockey needs.
Welcome back to the Game Sports Show. It's yours truly, David McCaig, here on the January 24th edition, Wednesday, live here at Sportscenter Bar and Grill, where we record our show Wednesdays, as we've mentioned earlier in the segment. And I want to thank Jamie Antonello for coming on by, one of the usual contributors, obviously, to the Game Sports Show. And you know what? We had quite the segment talking football, and wasn't it a very action-packed week in football, and looking forward to the Super Bowl. We are going to have, for sure, 2 more In the Pocket segments to conclude the football season. Then obviously throughout the offseason, we're going to have special editions of In the Pocket segments for the draft, for free agency, and potential other big NFL news surrounding the NFL in general. So those are things that you definitely don't want to miss going throughout, but that's in the future. We're not going to worry about the future. Heck, we're not even going to worry about the past. We are going to be talking about the present, and right now in football, we definitely got to be enjoying the present, as playoffs have been pretty good so far, I feel, to us, even though this is a Super Bowl, as Jamie and I attested to, that may not be the Super Bowl everybody wanted, but it might be a very surprisingly action-packed Super Bowl. I'm pretty excited. I'm always excited for the Super Bowl. It's like a holiday here, even in the United States, obviously, to my U.S. listeners out there who take the Super Bowl a little bit more seriously than what we do here in Canada, but, it's still a big day for sports fans in general, so it's definitely something that's going to be great. And Jamie, I'm happy that you're able to come by tonight. And even though we had a 4-week vacation, we're looking forward to the next couple weeks and then beyond, obviously going to the off-season, coming with the In the Pocket segment. Now you just get to listen to my voice right now. It almost feels like old times with the Game Sports Show to a couple years back, before we even started at Sportscenter Bar and Grill, before we even started at Boston Pizza, no less. When we were just at McDonald's, yes, just at McDonald's, it was just myself and Scott once a week, and then it was the special editions, and it was just me, and I didn't have the great analysts and co-hosts that I have today with me. And we're going to go back to the past there in that terms, even though we are going to be looking at the present. We're going to go back in the past of you just being able to listen to me right now talk about a specific sport. And the sport that I am talking about tonight here is basketball. Yes, basketball. And the Toronto Raptors in particular. The Toronto Raptors, let me tell you, second in the Eastern Conference. A very impressive record with going into tonight's action against the Atlanta Hawks with a 31-14 record. But now after defeating the Atlanta Hawks tonight by a score of 108-93, they're now 32-14 to remain second best in the Eastern Conference. Head coach Dwayne Casey was proud of the performance tonight by the Toronto Raptors to get the W. Definitely not the best of all games in terms of the way the Raptors could play. However, the Raptors are in second place in the Eastern Conference, and we figured this. We figured maybe Milwaukee would be higher up there, but they haven't been able to live up to those expectations along with the Raptors and Cavs and Celtics, etc. The Cavs, Celtics, and Raptors are the powerhouse three in the East. Those are the top three teams. Those are the teams to look out for going down the stretch run. And this might be the Raptors' year to be able to defeat the Cleveland Cavaliers in the playoffs. Can they defeat the Boston Celtics? That remains to be seen. But this team that they have, it's been so successful throughout the regular season, but we've never made it past the Cleveland Cavaliers in the playoffs. And with this certain team, the way we're all together, we have a full year together with a lot of these guys. I'm excited to see what can be brought here in basketball. Canada should be very excited. Toronto, Canada should be excited. Canada, in general, should be excited for the Toronto Raptors, as they are one of the best teams in the NBA. And you know what? They got some good guys in that locker room, some character guys in Lowry and DeRozan and Serge Ibaka. They got good leadership in Dwayne Casey being the coach. I love Masai Ujiri. Who doesn't love Masai Ujiri? The Magic, the Masai himself, doing great work with the Toronto Raptors. So to have the Raptors where they are today, kudos to the Toronto Raptors and the big win tonight to keep on ascending up in the Eastern Conference and in the win column. And you know what? The Toronto Raptors are a team to be reckoned with. Are they a team that compares to the Houston Rockets and Golden State Warriors, though? I don't know. Heck, I don't even know if they're a team that even can fully compete with Cleveland and Celtics. I'm still not fully convinced because of the past few playoffs, but I am convinced that they are a very good team and they are capable to defeat those teams, as I have mentioned. And the Toronto Raptors, well, you know what? When it comes to this team, put your hands together, baby. Because it's time for the Raptors to maybe surprise the NBA. Dare I say it? Nah, I'm not going to say it. But coming off a Raptors perspective, the Raptors have DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry make his third appearance in the All-Star game as a reserve. And with the All-Stars, you got DeMar DeRozan being a starter alongside Kyrie Irving, LeBron James, and Giannis Antetokounmpo. Oh, fantastic. And Joel Embiid rounding up the starters and reserves. Other reserves, you got John Wall there. You have Kevin Love. You have Al Horford, Kristaps Porzingis as a reserve. Now looking over the Western Conference, and holy Mackinac, as my friend Joe Bowen would say in a hockey reference, Stephen Curry, James Harden, Kevin Durant, DeMarcus Cousins, who absolutely made history. Yeah, now you got to give kudos to DeMarcus Cousins, and Damian Lillard. Then you got on the reserve, you got Klay Thompson, Jimmy Butler, Russell Westbrook being a reserve. Wow. Karl Anthony Towns, Draymond Green, and LaMarcus Aldridge rounding out the western side. And that western side's looking, let me tell you, pretty good. I really think that the Western Conference looks better than the Eastern Conference, but I still like the East. I still like the heart that the East provides and a little bit of that grit, especially on the side of Giannis Antetokounmpo. I think he is just a fantastic talent. But there's also some guys that didn't make it, and one notable individual that is not in the All-Star game is CP3, Chris Paul with the Houston Rockets. I felt that he was deserving to get in this year. The Golden State Warriors had 4 players get into the side of the Western Conference, and Chris Paul did not get in, as Houston only had 1 player, James Harden, get in, who was deserving, obviously getting in. But there's also other players. Paul George, that was considered out when it came to the Oklahoma City Thunder. And George, well, there's players that I feel like he can be in terms of this All-Star game. But I must admit, with the starting core with Curry, Harden, Durant, Cousins, and I must stand corrected, Anthony Davis is a starter with Damian Lillard being a reserve. So it is difficult for him to make that starting lineup, but for Paul George even not to make it, but let's debate that. I've saw many quotes of how he should potentially have made it, but I really think Draymond Green, Aldridge, Westbrook, and Towns are more deserving to be there than Paul George is. And you know what? Chris Paul, though, that is definitely an argument that is worth saying that he deserved to potentially be there, especially since 4 of the Golden State Warriors players are there. And how Westbrook isn't starting, that also, I say 3 times, infuriates me how he isn't a starter for the Western side. But not like he's not going to play. I'm sure he'll get off the bench, and he might even probably surprise everyone and just lead over the minutes. Who knows what's going to happen in this All-Star game. The NBA All-Star game is a game where players get to show their stuff, but especially that skills competition gets pretty fun, but it gets a little bit silly and ridiculous. But the players being here are deserving, but there are also some notable guys that are definitely not in there. But kudos to Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan for making it to the All-Star game, especially Kyle Lowry getting on for a 3rd consecutive season. Now, the Toronto Raptors in general, when you look at what the Toronto Raptors have done, are you happy with what they've done? Are they a team that you're taking seriously? Let me tell you, it's a team that I'm taking seriously. When you put them against Golden State, Houston, Boston, Cleveland, do they have what it takes? I want to know what you think with this basketball topic, the first official basketball topic of 2018 here at Sportscenter Bar and Grill. Short, sweet, and to the point, talking Raptors and a little bit of all-star action. I want your feedback, though. I want to know what you think of the Toronto Raptors. Do they have a shot? Or are they going to be that team who finishes top 3 in the East again this year and does it continuously for a while and just never gets it to the end? There is a possibility. They're not built like Golden State. They're not fully built like the Houston Rockets or even Oklahoma City Thunder in the western side. People even debate how they're not built like the Cleveland Cavaliers or the Boston Celtics, but I think they've had a better year than Cleveland has had, and they're in better shape than what Cleveland is in terms of youth and hunger. But talent, I don't know. Remains to be seen, especially when it comes to the big game when LeBron James turns up, especially for Cleveland. So let me say one more time to you and ask you one more final time. Is this the season the Raptors surprise us all? I think this season's best chance, rather than any other season, is for sure this year than what it's ever have been. And you know what? Go Raptors, go. It's going to be exciting. And yes, I must say in terms of the NBA, don't ever second guess the Raptors and doubt what they can do, because I am very convinced, and I'm going to quote Tim and Sid here, the Raptors, they believe they'll finish 1st in the Eastern Conference. Tim and Sid, I respect what you said. I'll tell you this, though. This is going to be my quote. The Raptors will finish no lower than 2nd place in the Eastern Conference. That's my prediction. And I'm going to stick to that. I don't want to over-push anything or curse anything, but I do believe in what the Raptors can do. So that's going to be the NBA portion of this segment. Short, sweet, to the point. Like I said, Raptors talk a bit and a little NBA talk, topped off by a little bit more Raptors talk for you to put a cherry on top of the cake of a great segment here tonight, the January 24th edition of the Game Sports Show, live at Sportscenter Bar and Grill, the Sioux's best sports bar, rated for the second straight year. And you know what? Obviously it is. It is great atmosphere always here at Sportscenter Bar and Grill. And I want to thank once again Jamie Antonello for coming on by for the In the Pocket segment. I want to thank the beautiful Alicia White for a great job waitressing, as she does every Wednesday for the most part for the Game Sports Show. Also got to thank Frank Liguori. Can't forget Frank Liguori, the owner and operator of Sportscenter Bar and Grill. And last but not least, proud to call him as a friend, Scott Notorious Nason, for being the board operator tonight. As thanks, Scott, for all you do and what you do for the show. You are truly a legend, and you're truly an amazing individual. So kudos for you for what you always do for the show. And you know what? We got additional sponsors here on the Game Sports Show. As you know, we got the Wicked Sister and Pingator Cleaners from Sault, Michigan. We have Boston Pizza here in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, newly to the Game Sports Show, where we host a show every Thursday. We also have Discover the Canvas, the Super Pro Shop, North Shore Sports and Auto, and the Salon as our sponsors. And you know what? In 2018, we got quite the action-packed 2018. As I have said, Mondays 6 to 7 live on 95.1, 7 to 8 being pre-recorded at the Wicked Sister. Wednesdays live here on the Game with myself for the In the Pocket segment, basketball talk, etc. at Sportscenter Bar and Grill, 9:30 till 10:30, 11 area. Then Thursdays at Boston Pizza from 9:30 until 11 p.m. talking local and professional hockey. And when the time comes, we'll definitely be talking some baseball. And when it comes to tomorrow, I do got a little bit of baseball talk to add to the show, just to give you a little taste and get your feet wet. As guess what? Pitchers and catchers report to spring training less than 3 weeks away. So we're going to be talking about a little bit of baseball, but it is going to be mostly about hockey tomorrow, as we have tomorrow be talking local hockey with the Sioux Thunderbirds when we bring in a guest, a friend of mine, and well known in the community in terms of hockey and what he does and gives back to his community. Jamie Henderson will be coming by Boston Pizza. And we'll also be talking Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. And we have a lot of things ironed out for the Greyhounds. We're getting everything cemented in to get the players in for interviews at Boston Pizza. And then we're going to have some professional hockey talk where I have a lot of announcements for guests that have officially been locked in and dates tenured for these locked in guests for that. So very excited for what that brings. I'm just excited for 2018 in general. We're going to have a website launched at www.thegamesportshow.com that will be completed by the end of the month. We've been delayed a little bit because we're going to make this website accessible and easy to use and interactive for the listeners and the fans. So that's why it's taking a little bit longer to get everything going and making sure we got the right drives to upload the right shows onto there to make sure you have no interruptions with your listenings. Also, for you to keep in touch with us and have the best experience possible while being on that website. And you know what? We have a lot of new commercials coming out for the show. We got a lot more events and fundraisers in terms of being connected with the community. We also have some merchandise that we are going to be selling with the Game Sports Show as well. So a lot of things, a lot of serious things happening here with the Game Sports Show, a lot of things that you do not want to miss. Once again, thanks to Jamie Antonello for coming on by for the In the Pocket segment. And for yours truly, Dave McCaig, I will be back with you guys tomorrow, live at Boston Pizza at 9:30. Come on by Boston Pizza. Enjoy their half-price bar rails and half-price appetizers. And come on and talk to me and be prepared for the trivia question. I'm going to announce the winner of last week's trivia. You don't want to miss this week's trivia. We're going to have another prize to be able to give out to our listeners. So make sure you come on by to Boston Pizza tomorrow to possibly interact with me and to ensure you tune in with the show. But for tonight, thank you for listening. And like I said, within 24 hours, I will be back in your ears for your sports enjoyment. On behalf of the Game Sports Show, to all out there, have a safe and fun night.